array adapter, media library, and a new Markdown field. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is Adrian, and we're going to do the 3.17 release today. And we have quite a few things to talk about, so let's just take them bottom up as we usually do. So rename the Markdown field to EasyMD. So before you had it something like field description as Markdown, and if you still want to keep that EasyMD editor, you just switch it to as EasyMD, because we added a new Markdown field and we're gonna talk all about it today. Field argument, prefix, field mapping, refactor. These are internal. So internal. We added an invalid license log notification. So now if the license is somehow invalid, you'll get that log Rails in the Rails logger. So registering some stillness controllers from plugins. What else? Media library. We're gonna talk all about it. Bug fixes. So the tags field had an issue in select mode. The tags field is a pain in the freaking behind, but we need to find a better multi-select kind of combo box solution. Radio field actions and accessibility improvements. Again, tags field. Okay, this is a small little fix. The grid view item selector wasn't properly enabling and disabling the actions, and that is fixed now. Late registration JavaScript tag. This was a fix, a bug that I introduced, and Paul helped me fix it. Tailwind integration, yes, between some of the gems. What else? Okay. Perfect. Let's just go over. Well, we're on top of the list so fast. So lazy load on tabs. This is something that we removed in a previous version. So the initial version of the tabs, all of the tabs were lazy loaded. But the way we did it back then, it wasn't a subpar implementation. It was a freaking pain in the ass. It was my fault. I did it, quickly, and we just got rid of it. And the only things that stayed lazy loaded were the association. So the has many, has it belongs to many, but everything else, if you had it inside a tab, they weren't being lazy loaded. And some of you told us that you have some fields that they ping some APIs, or they take a little bit longer to load the content, so that would cause longer loading times for the main detail screen. So we added this lazy load attribute, and now we're lazy loading them using turbo frames. So again, it's going to be in beta. We're still going to ship it fast. We want to see how you use it, if this implementation is better than last time, and if it is, we'll just make it stable, and that's all. So just be a little bit careful. By default, lazy load is set to false, so you can just go inside a tab and say lazy load true, and you'll be able to use it right away. Display a label, next action, ordering button. Yes, thank you so much, Ender. So this is basically whenever you have you want to sort a column, this tooltip, this wasn't here, so now it will tell you what is going to happen if you click it. So sort ascending, reset sorting, so basically what happens. Thank you, Ender, for this. Remove requirement of attachment key on tricks fields when the field is action text. It's exactly that. So when tricks was using an action text kind of attribute, it doesn't need attachment key. Well, in theory, it doesn't need it at all, but that's another conversation which we'll have it some other time. So you can continue using attachment key on your tricks fields. Access to the query on all action blocks. So thank you so much, Nevelito Newell. So what this does, it'll make some blocks in some of the options from actions as they'll make them callable. I think all of them, I'm not sure if all of them were callable, but now you get the query. So you get a little bit more information whenever you run an action inside this modal, inside the action show view, you get the query. So you can say, okay, you have 3 selected def fields, so you know which ones are selected. So you can pre-populate these fields, or like change the labels for the buttons. the world is your oyster. So more power on that. Add disable prop for profile item controller. Thank you, Julian. So basically, when you're this is regarding the profile item. So right about here, if you wanted to add a link that was disabled, that wouldn't have worked, and now it does. Thank you, Julian. Map kick options to location. Newell, thank you a lot. So this was something that some of you requested. So you have a location field and you want to pass in some of the map box options, because map box has some options like, setting the style, which they pass to, map kick has some options which they pass to map box. You can hide the controls and I think a few other things. So now you can do that on a field level. Location field on preview and static option. Yeah, so we've had a customer that was trying to use the location field as a preview. I think we have the preview on Teams. I hope I'm not mistaken. Yeah, somewhere around here. Let me see if we have it in this app right here. Oh yeah, so I had a customer that wanted to use the location field inside this preview box, and because this is a little bit more JavaScript and we need to initialize some JavaScript controllers whenever this pops up, we kind of saw that MapKick has a static option. So instead of rendering this whole interactive map, it can render, let me see if we have it as a field. We don't have it right now. So see, this is all interactive. It can render it as a photo. So basically what we're seeing here inside the coordinates is actually a photo of this whole map, and it's not, it's not drag and drop. It doesn't have controls, nothing like that. And you can use this as a field option as well. You'll find everything inside the doc, So you say like field as the coordinates as location, and you say static true, and then this will tell the field and it'll tell Mapbox to actually give me a photo of this area instead of having it drag and drop and all of that. So you might prefer this inside fields as well. So, and now it works in preview too. So thanks Paul for all of that. Return true attributes. So the saga of the back button hits again. So to give you a little bit of context, so we had this, we applied some tweaks to this Kanban board that we released a few months back. And one of the things that we wanted to do is like whenever you hit edit board and you want to go back, we want to be back on the board. And if you played around with Avo, this back button is, pretty smart. I mean, it tries to be smart because it's not always the JavaScript back button, and it shouldn't always take you to the index view. It's a lot more. If you want to learn more about this, just do a search for back button in our issues and our PR queue, and you'll find all the discussion, all the conversations there. So yeah, it has to be a little bit more smart to kind of figure out, okay, where do I have to go back? So now basically our problem was, okay, so somebody clicks edit board, it edits something around here, and then when it hits like cancel or save, we want to go back to the board, and we don't want to do like a lot of internal things. We want to have this as a public API. So now we introduce this as a return to param. So this return to param can be, you'll see here, this is a string, but it's an encoded string, and it's using a universal ID from HubSoft. It's from Nate Hopkins, which is an amazing gem. Nate is a great freaking guy who does a lot of open source. So it's super fast. It's very compressed. It's amazing it's an amazing way to serialize any type of object into just a string, right? And we're doing this right now. So it can be something like, avo/boards. So you can pass it a string, and if you click back, it'll try to go there. So let's do resources boards, because I messed up the path. So if I hit cancel, it'll take us there to the index. So you can pass it a clear string, but this isn't very secure. And what we are doing here is actually encoding this path. So, a bad actor cannot, figure out where, and, cannot figure out hidden paths that you might not want to expose. But back to the return true attribute, because this is basically the feature. So now Avo has a built-in mechanism to figure out, okay, do I have a return true, a param? Try to decode it if you can. If not, just use whatever it gave you. And now whenever you click cancel or you click save, it'll take you back there. So we use it in our Kanban feature, but imagine you are going to you can use it inside actions as well. So for example, you go on users and you select 2 users and you hit actions and whatever. I'm not ready with this. Let's try again. So actions, dummy action. And now of course you can do some more things here regarding, how many users do you have and so on. And then when you hit run, depending on which fields and which options have been selected, you can return to something else, or like, you can pass it here. Like you get a little bit more control over, actually the thing is, so you hit an action, you redirect somewhere with the return to attribute. So return to somewhere, and now whenever the user clicks back, it'll go to that somewhere. So again, it's a little bit more control for you to basically customize this whole experience for your user. Floating resource controls in table rows. Yep, this is again a nice to have, cool. We wanted to add since forever feature. So you can do this now. You can have floating controls that always float on your over your rows, or you can do things like, let me see where if I have it ready, I should prepare better. Configure. Okay, and I'm back with this configuration. So we have 2 things. First of all, we have a breaking change. We changed this resource controls placement, which would only take 1 argument or inside the global configuration. So this would be in Avo RB, or you can do it resource per resource or resource configuration. We had controls placement. We deprecated that, and we are changing to, we're switching to row controls config, which will do a lot more than just this. So first of all, we want to apologize. We deprecated this in a minor version, in a patch version. So it was, I think, 316.4 to 316.3 or something. See? And we won't do that again. We will deprecate it inside a minor version, or first deprecate it and then completely remove it. So this will be a breaking change, so please follow the guide on the upgrade guide to basically update this. So back to the configuration. So now we have resource row controls config, which before it would take something like left, and now it says placement left. We have more on this. We created this new page. It's inside the table view. So we created this new section called views, and you have like an overview of what happens with the views, how are they structured and how we think about them, and you'll be able to figure out a little bit more. And then we have special pages for each view. And now inside the table view, you'll see this new configuration called resource row controls, or row controls if you want to do it just on a resource. So getting back to one of my resources, actually this is the global configuration. So resource row controls config, it takes a few things. It takes a placement, which can be right or left. It takes a float option, which can be true or false, or show on hover, again, true or false. And I'm going to show you how that looks like. So right now we are on right and nothing floating, nothing showing on hover. We can go and say, of course, we can do left, and it would take these controls from here and bring them front and center here, which is great if you like that. But now, like, you can click a row to visit a record, so you don't need them that much. In our opinion, maybe you do. And then you have float false. Well, I'm going to turn it to true and show you how this new option looks like. And now, as you can see, they are visible always on the right, and they will always float above your rows. We think it's cool. It's kind of like, almost like Gmail, but I'll show you how they look a little bit more like Gmail. They won't look as good on the left side. So, we didn't add support for that. So use it on your on your own risk. And I'm going to enable this show on hover because this is a cool one, and I think you'll like this. Now, when you load the page, everything is clean, and now if you hover, you get the controls over whatever is there. You're gonna have this space here. This is we can't remove it because otherwise it would hover over the last thing and you could never remove it. But now you get this, more Gmail-likey interface. Yeah, so I hope you like it. So let me just remove this. And let's go to the next feature. So this was a breaking change. This is a breaking change. You'll find it inside our upgrade guide, and everything is written here about what is happening. Add save button stimulus target to save button. Thanks, Paul, and thank you to who reported this. So basically, in the stimulus integration guide, you have access to all of the fields will have custom data attributes set on them. So the data resource edit target. So they are targets already for your stimulus controllers. And if you add more, those will be added automatically. And what we didn't have was a target on the save button. And now we do. So you can control that a little bit more. Cool. And now to the features. Shift+Select multiple records. This is something that this is the type of feature that I freaking love when I see in the products that I use. It's something that we built into the Pro feature, into the Pro tier. So you can select one item, hold Shift, and then click, and you have selected everything. I can select one item, hold Shift, and then everything is selected. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I kind of love this. I kind of love having this kind of power. I hope you're gonna like this feature as well. Next up is the array adapter. So up until now, Avo worked nicely only with active record models. So all resources had to connect to an active record model. So that would mean that we relied extensively on Active Record and its patterns and the database and everything that Active Record has to offer in terms of like querying data, filtering, and everything else, which we love. This is amazing. This is why Avo works so well, because Active Record has these amazing patterns at our disposal. But we heard you. So you need a little bit more control. You want to display some other types of data that are not actually active record-ish, let's call them. So this is why we created the array resource and the array field. So the array resource is a flexible resource where you can give it things to display. So it looks like, let me actually show you how it looks. We have this new resource, movie, which inherits from an array resource. We'll talk about, you'll have everything in the docs, like how to generate it and everything else, and it'll have the fields exactly as you know them, but it'll have a new method called records, where you have to output basically an array of hashes. It works with an array of active record models as well, so we can do return a user.all or whatever. You can do whatever, so you can return an array of hashes or an array of active record models, and I think it will work with some other things that we haven't tested right now. And what it will do is create for you a new resource that looks just like any other resource, and it will display that data. Okay, we're gonna have to look into this. We'll figure it out. So it will display that data. So as you can see, the first item is Shawshank Redemption, release date, no fun fact, Godfather, release date, one fun fact. Again, it will know how to, pick and choose from these attributes to, do a distinct, unique, whatever, to figure out which columns it needs. So, and basically now you can browse all of them. you can view them, and you could attach actions to them. What else? I think this is pretty much it right now for the actual resource. But this is great. You can still control a lot of things. As I said, inside the records, you can ping an API somewhere. You can do, GraphQL query. You can grab it from Redis. You can grab it from wherever. You just have to give it some an array of things. Cool. So this is array resource. Let's move on to array field. Where is it? Field types array. This is another cool field. So let me just find it really quick. As array course attendees. Cool. Now I'm on the course resource, which is a regular active record resource, and I have this new field called attendees, which is as an array. Okay, cool. Now if I go on the model course, this course has an attendees attribute, which is not has many, it's not an association, it's not an active record association. It just does, a user role and gets the first 6. I know it's not optimized, that doesn't freaking matter, right? So it'll just pick up some objects from active record, but it could just as easy return an array. So let me just do this, and let's do this. And now let's see, where are we in the course resource? Let's do this. Course. And now if we go to attendees, it just displayed whatever we gave it as an array. Again, if we go here and just do a return user all first, it'll just take the first users from the database and just return it here. Again, a lot of freaking power. You can, using the custom controls, you can add custom actions to them. You can add like regular actions. It's just freaking amazing. And what it does is it tries to figure out what kind of resource. So this is the thing. You always have to give it it always has to find a resource. So this table is not rendered in, what do you call it? In nothing, in void, right? It needs a resource. So it needs a resource to have this configured. Like, okay, I have a field of ID, a field of name. What kind of field is it? The text? Is it what kind? This is a date field. So it will try to figure out, based on this name, attendees, it'll try to find an attendee resource, which we have right here. So it's an array resource. It can have a def records method. It can not have it. But basically this is the the resource which controls how these are displayed. And again, this resource, you'll find it, in your resources tab as well. You can hide it from your menu. Because I did this. So you can hide it from your menu if you don't want to do that using the menu editor or the hide from menu option. So it will fall back on the records method if it has one of those. If not, it will use whatever attribute it has. So again, on the course resource, I'm creating a new, let me just shut this off. I'm creating a new field, which has the attribute of attendees. It is as an array, and it'll go on that model and figure out if it has an attribute of attendees, and it will use it as an array, and it will figure out, because this is the name of attendees, it will take this resource and it will display it inside my record. And of course, the world is your oyster. You can do a lot of freaking things with this. We are very, very excited because we are going to use it internally with quite a few things. And it's really, really cool. And I know some of you are really expecting this. So again, go through all this, and you'll find some more options on the documentation and regarding the array resource, regarding the array field. And we think it's really, really cool. So let us know what you think about it. We have 2 more things. Add automatic field detection in resources, which is a cool one. Thank you, Obi-Wan Keoni, for this. You've been freaking spectacular, you know, by in pushing this through, and like, you know, you just plow through all of the things, you know, because it's not an easy feature to do. And we actually really appreciate you putting in all the work. It's like stellar achievement. So if you want to learn more about it, you'll find it in the docs, and you'll find this ticket, which basically, you know, this issue that basically explains how you can use that. So what it does is actually uses the resource generation mapping to try to generate on the fly fields for your resources. So I'm gonna go on a, let's see if this will fail. I'm gonna go on the comment resource, which looks kind of like this. I'm just gonna load a comment, and I am going to, let's figure out some, okay, I have the Rhino field here. So you see this is Rhino. We'll talk about that in a second. And now I'm gonna comment all of this. If I refresh, this should be empty. Perfect. And now I'm going to just paste this and see what happens. Discover fields. Okay, we'll figure things out. This is why we do these kinds of, demos. So basically what it had to do, maybe I should read this a little bit better. Oh, I think we changed them. Discover columns. Discover columns. Oh, perfect. Yes. Gotta read the docs. Gotta read the docs. And discover associations. Perfect. Cool. And now what it will do is go through the database record and like the columns and the model attributes, and it will try, actually I think it's the model, whatever, it will try to figure out and to infer what kind of fields you need for this particular resource. Of course, it's not perfect. Like, for example, this is a polymorphic, so it's a type and ID. Maybe we could figure this out and say, okay, this is as many as a polymorphic, whatever. But then the body, it knows it's a text kind of a column. So okay, let's use a text area, and then, you know, this is a datetime database column. Okay, we'll use a datetime field, and so on. Like, this is an attachment, and you get the point. So it tries to kind of figure out what is happening. So here, actually, look, this did figure out that it's a polymorphic, and it added it here. Okay, so we can polish it a little bit more, but you could, like, you know, just not have any of this. This would be generated for you whenever you generate the resource. But let's say you just incorporate it in a new app or whatever, you run some migrations and you just don't want to bother, you just want the fields there. You can run this these methods inside your fields method, and it will populate it with the fields. And if you check out this issue, you can tell it like, okay, I want only these attributes or accept these attributes. So it's, well, quite powerful. So yeah, we're quite excited about this. So thank you a lot, Kioni, because this is just freaking amazing. So let's talk about the media library. It's actually a 2-in-1 feature. It works as a media library, or it works as a gallery that you can use to inject things, assets inside other things. Let's take it one step at a time. I'm going to go inside my initializer. So by default, it is disabled. So it's going to be enabled false because it's still in alpha. So big warning. It's rather stable, but it's still in like the first initial, stable version. Like, it's not stable. It's rather stable to be used, but it's still alpha version. So don't flood us that it's not a great feature, because we know it's not freaking amazing. But let's see how it works. So let's enable it, and once you enable it, you're going to see it here inside the media library. This is going to be a new thing just added for you by default inside the menu editor. Inside the default menu, we're probably going to move it somewhere below because it shouldn't be like the first thing. Again, alpha. Or you can customize it using the Avo menu editor. So it has a few things. First of all, you can drag and drop things here, and they would be uploaded using active storage to your app. And here I have a few assets that I previously uploaded. if I click one, I get this detail view where I see like file name, key, content, like some metadata. I have this cool little form that I can update some things like file name, title, alt, and description. I can download it, I can copy URL, or I can delete it. If I hit update, it's going to be updated. Again, no, you're not going to get an alert. It's alpha version, but it uploaded. So you see here like dreamy, enter, close. It's updated. It can add new files, just drag and drop. And then that happened too fast. But what happened is it'll show you a list of things, and then it'll show you, the percentage until, it uploads it. So let me just 40 items. Maybe these are too many. So drag and drop, and then and at the end, it's gonna refresh this whole thing. I know we can make it better. We can inject things with turbo. Forget about it. Yeah, so 1 and 2, perfect. We'll make that at some point. So I'm not saying forget about that. We're not gonna make it. Okay, cool. So this is the media library. This is feature number 1. This is what it does. But we have supercharged our cool editors, let's call them. So we have 3 of them now. I haven't spoken about one. I'm going to talk about that later. So the first cool editor is actually tricks. And let's do as tricks. What is it? City. Let's go into a city, and let's just go here, edit, and now we have this tricks field, right? Looks like a tricks, bold, whatever, works like a tricks. Cool. And now just beside the attachment icon, I have this new, so you can still attach things, but I have this new gallery, attach files, which will open this freaking media library with everything that we previously seen. And if I click one, it will just inject it into my editor. And you can add a caption, and you hit save, and that will be added to your tricks field. I know a few of you, I can think about a select few of you that actually needed this feature. You are doing a lot of data intensive, like content intensive tasks, and your editors had to re-upload a lot of things. So this will deduplicate a lot of your content. So once uploaded, you can just inject it into multiple editors. We had one customer that was using was building a multilingual website. So imagine having 10 languages, and you have 10 of these areas, and you would have ended up with 10 different attachments, but now you can just inject it in there. So this is cool editor number 1. Let's go cool editor number 2. It's actually the Rhino field. Everything I talked, the media library is free, it's in community. The Rhino editor is free, is in community. Tricks, of course, and the next one that I'm going to talk about is also free in community. So again, Rhino field, you can attach things, or you can, in the same fashion, inject things. Cool. I hope it's cool. I love it. I think it's a really cool thing. So next one, let's move on to projects. We have a cool new editor. It's actually a new editor for Rails. We built it. I'm going to talk all about it after we finish the release notes. It's a new Markdown editor. Remember I told you that we renamed EasyMD to Markdown to EasyMD because we added this one. This is a GitHub styled Markdown editor. So you have this preview pane or write pane, like exactly like GitHub has it. You have this cool toolbar, and best of all, it supports active storage integration. So now I just drag and drop an image. It'll figure out, okay, it's an image, and it will attach it as an image. And if I hit save, it's saved there. And you have like this preview pane. We'll talk all about it, but you can also attach from gallery. There, how easy was that? Actually, let me go here. How easy was that? So 3 cool editors, EasyMD is a cool one. We have other cool ones, but 3 like what you see is what you get kind of editors. So you have a lot of flavors for it. and now they all have this media library support. Of course, we can add like searching and scoping and a lot of other things in time. So, you know, send us your feedback if you love it, if you hate it, if you need some things there, like definitely tell us how you want to use it and we will improve it. So this is coming in community for free, and most of the things that we spoke about today are actually free. I can only think about one that it's not free. Cool. And you know, that's about it for the changelog. We have a couple of more things to talk about, but that's it for the changelog. I have two more things I want to talk to you about. One thing is the Marksmith, this new gem that we just published. Actually, let's check out the repo. This is a GitHub style Markdown editor for Ruby on Rails apps. It's MIT for free. Anybody could use it in any app. It's not Avo specific. You can have this editor inside your app using Markdown today, right? And it supports active storage integration. It's still in the initial stage of development. Some people, you know, jumped on us like, oh, it doesn't do that. Of course, it's 0.1 version. Like, it's still, this is how you do things. This is how everybody does things. It's not perfect. So let's go through it. It'll support Markdown, regular Markdown. It will, it has list continuation feature. So let's go inside a project and let me actually show you. So it supports a lot of types of Markdown. It supports list continuation, list item, another one, and it does the same thing with this ordered. In theory, I know it should do it with this one. Yes, it does it with this one as well. This one is not supported right now. We have an issue on that. So these will not be converted to checkboxes like GitHub has them. We're gonna work on that. You can upload files. It supports active storage. You can customize the path. We're still working on adding like, you know, carrier wave or whatever kind of plugin you want. If you have experience with that, definitely come and help. We don't have that much. I think I used carrier wave in 2016 or something. So please come and help. It should plug into any kind of file upload API. What else? It has a built-in renderer, this preview pane, and it also comes with a built-in renderer helper. So it's Marksmith, where this is a helper that you can use in your ERB or Flex or whatever, and just give it that Markdown, and it will use the same rendering parser that is used for this panel, right? And this is customizable. You can override it with your model. Let's see, customize. Where is it? Renderer. Did we forget to actually build a preview renderer? Okay, perfect. And yeah, probably I need to document that. Yeah, so basically you can customize it. It's a model. It's a class inside the models directory, which you override, and then you customize however you want it. Actually, let me open and show it to you. So this is what it looks like. The directory. So it's actually this one, models, Marksmith renderer. So this is the default renderer, which Marksmith comes built in with. So the Marksmith helper and the preview pane, this uses this. But if you override it and you add like your custom things here, like, you know, custom shortcodes or whatever, like whatever you add, it'll be used there and here. So that's pretty cool. So list continuation, active storage, render, like actually like it. I wanted to have this since, you know, I've seen GitHub and I started using Rails. So now it's available for everyone. Actually, let me just, cool. Now, the second thing I want to talk to you about is PR that we have open right now, and it is the TailwindCSS v4 PR. So Tailwind v4 was officially stable, officially released. It's stable. It still has some kinks. We found a few bugs. We, commented on a few issues, but whatever, it's pretty good. It's out there. And we created this branch and this PR, which is failing. But don't worry, this is, it's checking probably some classes, and they don't match. Paul had a look. He said, like, it's okay. It's nothing critical. So we have this PR, which actually goes through, it changes the pipeline from Tailwind 3 to Tailwind 4. It doesn't do other things. So it didn't migrate we didn't migrate the JavaScript config for this new CSS config. We did maybe a few tiny refactors, like we moved this to actually that class, but very few things. But this is here to basically make Avo look exactly the same as it does right now, but with Tailwind 4. So what we will do is actually create, we will release 3.17, and we will release a 317.0.tw4 or something, like it stands for Tailwind 4. And these versions will go in parallel. So whenever we're going to merge something into main, we're also going to merge it into this one and do a separate release. So we'll have 317.1 and that's it, and 317.1.tw4 or something. And we will go with these in parallel, and we need your help. So we did do a lot of going into all kinds of screens, but I'm sure we might have missed some. So what we want you to do is actually install the TW4 version if you can. So if it's not a mission critical app, if it's something that you can have, maybe a border that it's a different color, or something, it's a little bit off, so it looks good, but some things might be off. We want you to install the Tailwind 4 version and run it in production, and then come back to us with feedback, like, okay, this button doesn't align anymore, this one has an extra border, this thing is not showing up, it should show up, like anything that makes it look different from your regular one. So it's not going to be a retheming, a new skin or anything. It should look exactly the same. So whenever you see something that it doesn't look the same, or the hover states or something doesn't, please report it back to us, and then we will be able to go back to this PR and check whatever was broken, fix it, and then do another release and rinse and repeat. And hopefully by the time of the next version, so 3.18, we will be on par with Tailwind 3, and we can just switch the whole pipeline. So the next version, 3.18, is going to run on Tailwind 4. We don't want to keep this too long, so we don't want to do okay, we'll keep it for 5 versions, and then we don't want to do that, because it's very freaking tiresome and time costly and error prone, and to keep these two in sync. We want to do it pretty fast. If you do have your Tailwind pipeline ejected, you might need to do some updates yourself, and we will document them in the docs. We will have them by the time of sometime this week. Because we need to because when you reject them, there are some things that are happening, you can customize them in different ways. We'll try to figure out all the ways in which they can broke, and we can help you fix that. So basically we will have a kind of a nice story for those that ejected. So again, we need your help to basically run the Tailwind 4 version wherever you can, in production, not necessarily, maybe in production, and tell us if anything looks off. Because after we merge Tailwind 4, we can think about theming, about optimization, we have a few ideas about how to make it easier and make it faster, and but to do that we need to update to this new version, so we are up to date, because this is how we like to keep it. I actually have one more thing for you, where we will have another office hour session on Friday the 14th. Yes, we do love you that much. So let's get together between 6 and 7, and let's talk about these new things that we added, these new things that we fixed and improved, and the new features and the things that we broken. Of course, we want to see that. So get on this page, one-click register. We want to see you, want to talk to you. If you're mad at us that we broke something, come and tell us. We want to hear that. If you love it, we want to hear that. And yeah, I think it's going to be a cool get together for all of us. Okay, that's it. No more one more thing. This has been it's been an hour since I've been speaking. So it's time to push this out there and get back to work. And I want to thank each one of you for being such an amazing freaking person and such an amazing community member, and for using Avo and for making this cool. You help us have these cool jobs and help us build these cool things and push them out there. So thank you so much. Take care, and I'll see you on the channels.